Hey, what's up? What's up? How y'all doing, man? This is the Sideline Story, Dallas Mavericks Chronicles, Playoff Edition, Episode 2. So, last night was a very phenomenal game between the Dallas Mavericks and the Los Angeles Clippers. I appreciate everybody for the support. Everybody keep wanting me to upload. Appreciate that. I want to get into this real quick. I'm gonna be real quick about it so everybody can enjoy their night. So the first game when the Mavericks played the Clippers, it was a horrible shooting night. Kyrie and Luka, they pretty much had to carry the load on the offensive end, even though the Clippers were able to get us out of there real quick. Like they made quick work of us. Even though we did make a run in the second half, but I guess the bad shooting was kind of like that was our demise for the most part. So I wrote down some key points, and for the second game, I wanted to see a higher scoring output, and I want the other players to get involved. I didn't want to see I didn't want us to heavily rely on Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving in game two, even though I know on the road the star players are more prominent. That's just how it goes. And the role players they dominate more so at home for the most part. But this game, as soon as the tip off happened, you saw Jason Kidd. It's like he just implemented the game plan of physicality and defense, and it started with leadership. Because I want to shout out to Kyrie Irving in this game because, excuse me, from a defensive standpoint, he's a player who's known to have his moments, but like as far as like being engaged, so locked in on the defensive end, it was just different because normally he's known when it's all said and done, he's been known for his offense, the best handler we've ever seen, one of the best finishers we've ever seen inside the rim. Like pound for pound, I think he's one of the best players to ever play the game. And that's what we know him for is his prominent offense, his creativity, his three-level scoring. But in this game in particular, it was just some about seeing him locked in so defensively and seeing Luka Doncic locked in so defensively. It was a very chippy game. The referees did let him play. When the Clippers got the ball, they immediately went back to Ivica Zubac. He had 20 points, which was his playoff career high, and he had 15 rebounds in game one. So immediately they thought it was sweet, so they went back into him. And what I saw weak side help. I saw Kyrie Irving come over on the other side of the paint to help out the defender, which was Daniel Gafford because he was guarding him. And I said, okay, so this is different right here. And Zubac, he drew some attention. They went back to him a few times. Daniel Gafford actually got hurt, so they had to take him out. And then you insert Derek Lively. Now the thing about Derek Lively is, if you go back to game one or episode one of the Dallas Mavericks Chronicles when they opened up the season against the San Antonio Spurs, Derek Lively, him and Luka Doncic had immediate chemistry because he's a pick and roll threat. He's a lob threat. So with that being said, it's like you kind of got to keep the defense honest and that way Luka could kind of take advantage of whatever of the defense because they so antsy. He makes them uneasy. So he was a live threat. You kind of saw that immediately. And as the game went on, one thing I was kind of looking for, Luka's imprint on the game. It kind of took him until like the second half to really get his imprint on the game. And I feel like this game you kind of saw early because he was making plays defensively, offensively, step back threes, getting to the lane for floaters, pick and roll with Derek Lively, getting him lobs. You kind of saw it, and you actually saw the Mavericks, especially with like Luka and Kyrie, they made it their mission to like get others involved, like the Maxi Klebers, the Derek Lively's. They tried to get them involved, the PJ Washingtons, the Derrick Jones Jr. Everybody was aggressive. You kind of saw like people like Derrick Jones Jr. and PJ Washington. They take it upon themselves to get inside the paint and make their presence known. If you notice in this game, we didn't shoot a lot of threes early on. I think the only other team that shoots more threes than us is the Boston Celtics. So they wanted to establish presence on the inside, and I thought that was very vital. So the thing about this game, though, a few things played in our favor. The return of Kawhi Leonard. He hadn't played since like early March, I believe. He made his return tonight. And that played in our favor too, because if you watch the game, you know when a player, like when a star player comes back from injury, what they try to do is they try to insert themselves offensively, whether it be slowing down possessions on offense, maybe a pick and roll or isolation play. But what that did in the favor of the Mavericks is when a star player is out for so long, the rest of the team has no choice but to create chemistry. When that player is not there, that means offensive opportunity, it opens up. So what Kawhi Leonard did, he took it upon himself to try to get himself established within the offense. What that did, it made the offense kind of stagnant because you kind of tell he didn't have his legs up under him. His jump shot was kind of flat. He didn't have the correct amount of lift on his jumper that he would normally have. And with that being said, we got some easy rebounds off of that, and we were able to turn it into transition plays or whatever we was able to do from it. But by the end of the first quarter, we shot 42% from the field and from the 3-point line too. The Clippers shot 20% from the field and 25% from the 3-point line. So it was the complete opposite of game one. In game one, the Clippers pretty much made everything, and James Harden and if I could zoom by, they kind of led the way. I think they had 20 points combined by the end of the first quarter. They shot the ball very, very well in this in game one as opposed to game two. At the end of the first quarter, it was 23-19. See, that's one thing about like playoff intensity, because when you have to play a team, if it goes to 7 games consecutively, it's like a game plan, it's schemes, it's matchups. You get familiar with who you're playing. Tendencies come into play. So you kind of know your opponent a little more better. So that's why we see like these low scores. It's some bad shooting involved too. Don't get it twisted, but like the game is intensified, and I think like that's something that us purists, that's what we really love. Me myself personally, I'm not a big fan of 145 to 142. That's just not me. I like a more game with like physicality, chippiness. I like when the referees let them play. I don't mind players getting to the foul line a lot. But in the second quarter, what happens is you saw like the Luka plays, like the pick and rolls with Derek Lively. You saw those lives. You saw that Kawhi Leonard Russ started to play in our favor. You saw PJ Washington try to insert himself offensively into the game. We had a very impressive defensive start, and it started with our leaders in Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic. You saw versatile guys like Derrick Jones Jr. and PJ Washington. Those are tall guys. They have long wingspan. So with that being said, like, it creates great defensive matchups, because one thing I noticed in this game, particularly in the third quarter, that's when it became very glaring. During the regular season, it's okay because you got so many games that you play and so many different opponents, so there's so many different looks and matchups that it's not really an issue. But when we get into these playoff games, you started to see like Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic are the primary shot creators for the Mavericks now, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's fine. A lot of teams normally have 2 to 3 guys that they depend on for shot creation, but the problem is other guys like PJ Washington, Derrick Jones Jr., the Josh Greens of the world, they are unable to really create a shot for themselves. Even like guys like Dante Exum, we had problems generating quality offensive looks in this game, and a lot of that was dependent upon Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic, because they are 2 of the best isolation players in the game. They can create for others too. Don't take for granted when your team has closers or has playmakers or shot creators. Don't take that for granted, because I'm not going to say the league is lacking that, but it's not in abundance as you would think it would be. So with that being said, the play that I want to bring up is when Luka went to the bench at the 5-minute mark of the third quarter. Kyrie Irving had drew so much attention, and they was already being physical with Kyrie Irving from the beginning. So that was already said. They had already came out with the focal point of, we're going to lock Kyrie up or not lock him up. We're going to double team him. We're going to be physical with him. We're not going to let him get to a spot. And they did a pretty decent job up until like the fourth quarter. But the play I was bringing up, when Kyrie caught the ball, well, when he had the ball, he drove to like around the free throw line area. Sort of like when he hit that left-handed floater by the free throw line against the Denver Nuggets a little early in the season. Shout out to Terrence Mann. He had some great defensive moments against Kyrie Irving. But on this particular play, Kyrie drew so much attention that he had to throw a left-handed floater, or it looked like a jump shot by the free throw line. And it went in. Shout out to the skill and the dedication to the game to be able to pull off a shot like that, because a lot of players aren't able to create moves like that, you know. So shout out to him. But he did end up making a shot, and I was like, you know, kid, you kind of have to put Luka back in the game, because unfortunately, like, these are the types of games where Luka and like Kyrie, like, it's 40 minutes. It's a must. It's 40 minutes for sure. You have no choice, because the lack of offensive creation, you don't want to risk the Clippers making a run. That's one thing I was trying to pay attention to. The who wins the Luka Doncic? Were the Clippers going to win the non-Luka Doncic minutes on the floor? Or they're going to make a run? Kyrie was on the floor, but you can only do so much when you're by yourself. So they kind of had to log a lot of minutes. And actually, I have it pulled up right here. What I say, Kyrie Irving had 42 minutes. Luka had 46 minutes. This is what is necessary in order to pull off a road win, to get home court to swing back in your favor. So now we get to the fourth quarter, and one thing I noticed in the fourth quarter, it was back and forth a lot the whole game. The Mavericks did have double digit lead in this game, but in the fourth quarter, when the Clippers came back and made it close, one thing that I noticed was the lack of experience, and who was experienced on the court. It showed. The thing about this series, I don't want to underestimate the Los Angeles Clippers, because they have a lot of players that are battle tested. You got a Paul George, who's very battle tested, deep playoff runs. You have Kawhi Leonard, who's a two-time champion, two-time Finals MVP, been to the Finals 3 times, so he's very battle tested. You have James Harden, who has made deep playoff runs. He's very battle tested. You have Russell Westbrook, who's had deep playoff runs. He has a Finals appearance. He's battle tested. So the moment isn't too much for them. You know, it's a lot of the time that you might see veteran players, they might not lose their composure because they've seen this, they've done this, they've been here before, as opposed to like the Mavericks. You can kind of see the moment kind of get to them a little bit with guys like with the PJ Washington, like I said, with the even with the Derek Lively's, even though that's Duke lineage, but it's just different. It's different because college, the length of games is not, you know, once you're a rookie, I'm pretty sure that's the first thing that you go through as a rookie. Is like, man, I'm still playing games. I'm not done playing these games. And with Derek Lively and like guys like Gafford, guys like Derrick Jones Jr., like Dante Exum has played meaningful playoff games before, but a lot of the time it's like these are some of the most meaningful games you will play, and the intensity, it can kind of get to you in a negative way, especially like if you see guys like Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, if they're hitting all these clutch shots, if they're making all these plays, and they go out of their way to give you the ball and give you offensive opportunity, and for whatever reason, you know, you come up short. It was a play like in game 1. James Harden threw an alley-oop to Russell Westbrook. He cashed it in. You know Russell Westbrook, he's very animated. He got the crowd going. The very next play down the other end of the floor, Luka Doncic threw an oop to Derek Lively, and he missed it. So it's like that's a confidence killer right there. So it's like, man, like he's going out his way to try to get me in the game, try to get my confidence going. And, you know, I failed him. I failed the team, you know, so that's a confidence killer right there. And that's something that you really don't want, especially as a young player. Shout out to guys like Kyrie Irving. I feel like in this game, he made it a point to really try to get his teammates involved. Luka did too in different parts of the game. But like, I really want to highlight Kyrie because from like a two-way aspect, he gave off a lot of two-way vibes in this game, getting steals, making the correct defensive plays, being real sneaky on defense, and coming up with big offensive buckets in this game. But other than that, though, what I did notice, a lot of Mavericks, we had the inability to really finish on the offensive end. The experience was shown. The lack of experience was shown too. We actually had a 3-minute stretch. We had a 3-minute stretch with no points. We had times in this game where we shown the inability to generate horrible offense, you know. But what I want to get to is like the later parts of the game. I made a comment that I said before. Don't take for granted when you have closers, the best closers like the Nikola Jokic's of the world. the Jamal Murrays of the world, guys like LeBron James, guys like Steph Curry, guys like Luka, guys like Kyrie Irving. Don't take that for granted. You could have a top 20 player, but is that top 20 player a top closer in the game? It's a difference in its levels. And it most definitely was shown. It was times, it was like when the game was winding down, we was making defensive stops. Luka Doncic, he hit a three. The next play, Kyrie Irving hit a three. If I'm not mistaken, they had to call a timeout. And it was one play in the game where it was kind of a broken play a little bit, where it was finna get ready to be broken. Kyrie drove and he jumped up and he threw it behind the back pass to PJ Washington in the corner. And PJ Washington hit a three. PJ Washington actually hit 2 clutch threes down the stretch of the game. And I felt like this is necessary flying back to Dallas from a confidence standpoint going into games 3 and 4, because now we have home court back in our favor. You want him going into games 3 and 4 with that momentum in his favor. That's what you want. That's what you prefer. And guys like Maxi Kleber, who really had he had a bad game one. He hit a clutch three, and I think he made one of the most important plays of the game, which was Kyrie Irving was on the free throw line. He made the first one. He missed the second one, but he got the ball on the offensive rebound. That's not easy getting an offensive rebound on the free throw. You know what I'm saying? Because first and foremost, you're already not right there in position because the defensive player is already closest to the basket. So it's kind of like you really have to show maximum effort in that game. From an offensive standpoint, I feel like we were better in this game. We did hit a better percentage of threes. I kind of want to see the turnovers. I want to see the turnovers go down a bit. I want to credit Jason Kidd as well. Jason Kidd really did a great job of implementing defensive physicality in this game. I feel like the referees did let them play, so they were able to get a lot of that off. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to him because he's a coach. He's battle tested. He's been there. He knows exactly what to say. He knows what game plan to implement. I love the way we came out in game 2. It was a complete opposite of game 1. What I want to see in games 3, I really want to see the other players get involved. Yes, Luka is going to get his. Yes, Kyrie Irving is going to get his. But can guys like Dante Exum come off the bench and give you 8 points? Can PJ Washington give you 20 points? Can Maxi Kleber give you 12 to 13 points? Can we hit a low 40 or a mid 40% from 3? Can we limit the turnovers? One thing that I thought was going to kill us in this game was we left a lot of points at the free throw line early on in the game. We were 66% from the free throw line. That's not good at all. Actually, that's not where you want to be. Some things that played in our favor, the Clippers didn't shoot good at all. They shot 36% from the field, 26% from the three. They were 8 for 30 from three. A lot of those shots weren't falling tonight. You could credit the Mavericks too from a good defensive physicality, good shot contest, but they just weren't falling tonight. I really want to see us up the defensive pressure again in game 3. You saw Kyrie picking up the ball handler off the inbound 90 feet. As soon as the inbound comes, Kyrie is already on you. I like that type of stuff, man, because if we're going to win this series, this starts with the leadership and Kyrie displaying that somebody who's battle tested, somebody who's been there before, hit big shots and come up with big plays. And him at this in the middle of his prime in his early 30s, coming out and displaying defensive energy like that, it has to be motivating for the team. Even with Luka Doncic coming up with clutch steals. Luka even had a block in this game. Your two offensive stars, superstars, coming up big on defense like that, it was beautiful to see. It was very inspiring to see on like what this team could do later on in the playoffs. I feel like we can beat this team. I feel like we can beat them. I think 4-2. Shout out to DeJuan. He said 4-2 the other way. Well, it's cool, it's whatever. But I just want to see the other guys get involved because I just don't know how far we can really make it if we have to depend solely on those two guys to do any and everything. I don't want to gas those guys out because at the pace that they're playing, say we make it to the Western Conference Finals, how much are you really gonna have to give? I really need these other guys to step up. I know Tim Hardaway, he hurt his ankle, I believe, in that game. I don't really know what's up. Hopefully, we get a decent game out of him. If we could get what was the bench points? Can't pull the bench points up, but I'm thinking if we could get like, I know it might be a tall order, but 45 to 50 points off the bench. I know that's kind of crazy, but like anything's possible in the playoffs, especially like when you get in front of the home crowd. Everybody rocking, energy's good, everybody's feeling good. You never know what can happen. Uh, you saw like an old out of his prime pager back in 2011 when the Mavericks went on a historic playoff run to win the championship. You saw him again in Game 4 against the Lakers. He couldn't miss a three. So you just never know. I'm not saying Maxi Kleber is Peja Stojakovic by any means, but we all know what home cooking can do for you and your confidence. Guys like him. Maybe Derrick Jones Jr. goes 2 for 3 from the three-point line. Maybe PJ Washington goes 3 for 5 from the three-point line. We just need something to give these guys kind of let them relax a little bit. We know Luka's going to have his 30, Kyrie's going to have his 25 plus, but let it be a less aggressive 30 and 25 points. Let them kind of coast to that because they're so skilled offensively. We've seen it before. We just need the other guys to step up and give them just some assistance because the role players all for the home games, like I said. But I was very impressed. The defense won this game. Of course, the offensive superstars closed it, but I want to say the defense set the tone from tip off to the clock ran out in the fourth quarter. Yeah, shout out to them boys, man. Shout out to Jason Kidd. I love the Mavs, man. So hopefully we could do something special this season, man. So I appreciate y'all for supporting the kid, man. Sideline story. Oh, they do play Friday. I will try to record, but due to my hectic schedule, it's not. I don't want to promise anything, so I'll try my best. But y'all have a blessed night, man. Love y'all. Peace.